Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the SFL podcast. Today we have my main self, Angry Ginger Boy. We have 3 guests, Fecko, Logan, and Cube. Uh, I want to just, open this up a little bit and start asking some questions here. Cubelin, you played for the Taters today. Tough loss to Mariberg. Tell me, how did it feel?
I mean, like first goal when we went down, it was rough. It was rough. I thought it was gonna be a long 14 minutes, but then I felt like we did pick things up, and like I thought to be honest, full honesty here, I thought we were gonna lose like about 5-0, you know. But then we did pick things up, and while like, things could be better, obviously they always could be. I'm happy with how he performed. I'm happy with how Gus is performing in the team. I'm happy with how James is performing. Suffy does need to communicate during game time, but we'll work on that later. And I know it's a loss. Losses are never good, but I'm still happy with how it went.
I'll add my 2 cents. Seeing as I played against you, I was the goalkeeper for the other team. Your team played very well, all things considered. Yeah, Sufi's was a little disconnected, but Gus played really well. Sufi still played really well. James, I think he's newer to the game, but he did pretty decent for a very new guy. Um, 5-2 loss, but I mean, even though one of those goals came off of a pretty interesting call because of a no-R, you guys still got a lot of momentum going against Jebby and Lick and Laquetta and me, which is pretty good. So I think Taters have been underrated this season. I think they actually might be able to be a mid-ladder team.
That's fair enough. I mean, even like they've been underrated by myself, and I play for them. So
That's fair.
it's thanks, Ginger.
Let's throw it over to the D2 side. Echo, how do you suppose that your team is going to fare in D2, given the fact that some of these teams are looking for more competitive players to really try and give you a run for your money?
I do think that it is quite hard to find really competitive players in D2 at the moment because, yes, you do have a handful of people like, let's say, Louis, Managedor, and XSPV, for example. But in my opinion, you need to build talents because nowhere in the league are you going to find any new players to really exploit and get them on your team. I think this is the biggest aspect that many D2 owners don't really take advantage of because there is such a big untapped market of players that have such big potential, but they just weren't trained by the right person.
That's true. There's a lot of players that have a lot of potential, and they just pick up really bad habits from being taught from kind of either really good players or not so good players. A really good example of that, John Juco when he was starting out. He's actually doing pretty well in all things considered for a D2 player. John Juco when he started out would just ball chase, and either that was because of something that was taught or just a bad habit that was reinforced over time. But that was something that y'all had to break him free from, and it's
Yeah,
stuff like that really drags down some of the players in D2.
that is really fair, but when you take John Juko again as an example, I think that after his first ever training with the club, after we trained together, he got on a ranked queue where he was with several staff members, and the vote to up his star rating from 1 star to 2 or 3 star was held, and it was such a close vote. And I think this really shows what I am trying to point out.
Of course, yes. Haven't heard much from Logan yet. Let's throw it over to him, the retired man. Um, you know, not being in the big show. I mean, how's that kind of affect your view on the league?
Complete. Not completely. I'm still curious about how this season is going to be. I think it will be a close title race this season because I don't think the tactical structure of Ambari, but even if it's the process of crafting, still trying to find the automatism and stuff like that. I think if we have can have a good upset, by FC Crows doing some kind of tactical magic and could outplay actually the team of Mariburg. I think this is something we can see this season. Otherwise, I don't watch D2 that much. I will just following from far the course of Vardia Maribor because they decided to go down at the end of last season. The season two runner-up, may I remind, but it's that choice. I respect that choice, but it's kind of weird to see a team of decent players going down in D2 willingly.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, right here is a really important question. I mean, would you prefer to play in D1 if you know that you are going to have fun? Or would you prefer to play in D2 even if you are quite better than everyone, if it is more fun for you? Because I think this boils down a lot of teams. Because if we look at La Jaca, for example, they lost Paynex, which I think was quite a big factor in the team's mentality as of now, and at Doom as well. Because right now I haven't really seen their old players getting as much playtime in the Doom format. A lot of them have been loaned or even sold, to my knowledge.
It's it's kind of sad to see that that's kind of, one of the biggest things in trying to be competitive. Um, as the commissioner of the league, I look at things and I try to make sure that newer players are going to get experience, and I also try to make sure that players that are more skilled are going to have a competitive landscape. That's why I was at first very against sending Maribor down to D2 because I didn't think it would be as competitive. Um, but I've been shown that there's some competition that still is there for them to make it fair. Um, and that kind of is my answer to your question there about, would it matter more to be in D1 when you know it's not fun, or go to D2 when you can just walk everybody's teams? And I mean, for me, I like the challenge. I know that I haven't been very good compared to what I was a few seasons ago. Um, but I like the challenge of trying to improve and trying to improve myself. And I don't think that that would ever come about in D2 as much. And I don't think that would be fair to anybody in D2 to throw myself or anybody of any caliber that's above that into D2 for them to just run the show.
Yeah, that's really fair. I mean, I think it has been shown what you really want to do with D2 just by the ineligible rule and by the team cap salary. Because right now, if we look at Guardia Maribor, it may seem like it's a very powerful team on paper, but truly they do have only 3 stars, one of which I think there has been a rumor of him leaving to Haikatsu Donetsk. So when you have only Andrew and Ronaldo Rossini, if I'm not mistaken, can
Mhm.
they really win the league alone?
No, and that's exactly why I think that our system that we've implemented is working effectively because even in D1 there's a few like teams that are thrown around as like, oh, the best and the best. But I mean, even looking at like Mariburg, for example, which is ranked as one of the better teams, or you know, um, I guess I could throw out like Cross. Cross is good because they have a lot of cheaper players that are new, but also have a lot of talent and can overperform what they're ranked at. Mariburg has stars that are already performing well and they've been established for a while. With those two teams, they're still salary cap compliant, but they have their own balances. Like for example, Mariburg can only have like 5 people on their team because of the stars that they have. And Cross, I mean, yeah, they have these stars that aren't as reliable yet, and that's why they're able to get a couple of more prospects or a couple more people to fill in for games. And I think that it adds balance, and it also makes sure that players that otherwise might have rode the bench last season are able to still find gameplay in D1 because of how the system would work, or maybe even find opportunities in D2, seeing how the salary cap pushes them in whichever direction.
I like that. I mean, Tube, do you have any input on this? I mean, seeing that you have gone from D2 to D1, what do you think about all these D1 level players going to D2? You have TNT,
Um,
you have
I
managed,
mean,
you have.
I'm gonna say it's definitely not anything that's like not new. We've seen this before a lot in the past. Maybe you could argue that it's like on a bigger scale at the moment. But I feel like, it's always been the case that D1 players, they get sick of D1 being very competitive and they just sort of want to goal farm, they want a stat pad and move down to D2 as a sort of, it's a nice retirement. And like, I'm absolutely someone who was thinking this last season, and yeah, it reflected on my gameplay as well. Because I, as a goalkeeper, right, I had this mentality where I was thinking, this league's so easy. I'm just gonna try and get goals. I'm gonna try and get assists. I'm gonna try and get out there. And I don't know, like that's my take on it, I guess. But which isn't really anything particularly new.
To expand on that a little bit, in my own opinion, you know, I think this is definitely going to lead into a couple of changes with D2. I think personally, if we open things up a little bit more, D2 could definitely be just as competent as D1 and competitive as well. And that's personally from my perspective the goal. The goal would be to make it to where D1 and D2 are competitive even with each
Absolutely.
other. So we could have promotion relegations be way more intense and have the leagues be way more interesting. But I think that would come at the cost of rookies and newer guys. So I'd from a league perspective, I want to figure out how to balance those more.
Interesting. So, what measures would you take to ensure that?
I know personally I'm very different than the rest of the staff team in the sense that when I come at the perspective of the league, I have kind of I guess an American perspective. Saying that I've uh, always interacted with American sports. I've had ideas come from those leagues in America, and one of them would be an idea that I had for this. If we're gonna do D2 like that, if we're gonna try and make it more competitive, uh, maybe it would make sense to get rid of the ineligible rule and then allow for D1 and D2 to have the same salary caps, and then have it to where rookies would be able to have a rookie league that would be like kind of independent from the D1 D2 structure, and that they could then move up from that to D1 or D2 once they get
That was
experience.
that was kind of like the plan for this season, but I guess it just didn't work out. So, especially with the newly improved media team, getting TikToks published and those getting quite popular, if the player base expands, that's definitely very likely we could see something like that, like a rookie league, a division three sort of, but not exactly, I guess. Anyway, I think we need to talk about the current league um, and what's happening at the moment. So, do you have anything to say about Division Two?
Real quick before I chime in
Of
about
course.
Division Two,
How bad?
about the TikTok that you mentioned, I just want to make a small announcement for the rest of you. It has reached 100,000 views.
Oh my god, crazy.
That,
Oh
that
my
is
We
God.
are
that's an achievement. That's brilliant.
we are going up. But to answer you asked me, what do I think about D2?
No, I asked Logan. Sorry. I mean,
Oh,
you
I
can
thought you
you,
said
you can
I
give
thought you
your
said
take
Ginger.
later, but
My bad, I misheard.
it's fine. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
so
Anyway,
about the D2 league predictions, I think that it will be pretty much a title battle between, I think, Vardia, maybe Riberosa, even if I don't know much about their players, but
see, Riberosa, they're a complete youth squad. They've got Meme
Yeah,
Ruler, he's okay. He just needs to
adapt, I think.
adapt. Brilliant wording. Adapt. And yeah, I think they're not a promotion team, and I feel like Light, the owner, he himself knows this. Nonetheless, they are definitely mid-table, and they are going to get some wins, but they're also going to lose half their games. I mean, yeah, whatever.
I
I
think
must
that. Sorry, Logan, you may go.
Yeah, I must because I don't know many D2 players this season because we have a new big wave of new players, and that's very great for the league. But I didn't get the time to familiarize with all the players we get to play in these years the D2. So I'm going to let you talk about what you thinking, who's going to be fighting for the promotion spots this season.
Well, the people that I reckon that are most likely to be in the sort of chat for promotion would be clubs like, let's say, Granica, Escalon, Gvardia Maribor, and yeah, I'm gonna leave it at those three clubs. I think those three, they're the big three at the moment, and they're the ones that are looking to get up into Division 1.
I think that how a team will perform is also very easily seen into their mentality. Because when you have Guardia Maribor, you will see that Andrew and Mr. Football, they quite like D2 because they think D1 is too stressful and so on and so forth. But when you have Granica or Escolan that do actively want to go up in the division system, that will be seen in the quality of the players and of the plays they make in games. So I do think that it very much so comes down to the mentality of the players, what they want to achieve in a certain season.
Yeah, that's a brilliant point because Granit and Escalon, they want to get promoted. Maribor, they could, but they don't so much want to. That's a brilliant point, Vecho. Echo, sorry.
I do think though that the new teams such as RAR, Cremata, and Riverosa do have a chance. I mean, Cremata has shown that it can develop new people and that it has the possibilities to get old veterans from D1 and D2 into their team. I have seen how Wuda trained these guys, and it's a really heartwarming story of how they came to be. With Riberosa, I do think that we gave them a bloody nose during our game on Friday, but it is good practice, and I do see a future for them.
Yeah, the Ramata at the moment are definitely a fan favorite. I mean, I say that as the guy that built their stadium, but it's just it's a fun club. It's just an interesting club. It's got a good vibe, and people quite like that.
What
I
do you
guess
think,
I'll.
Victor?
Oh, I guess I'll throw my 2 cents in. I definitely think that Grancia is definitely a forefront runner for promotion. But if you were to ask me if I was to place my bets on which teams would probably get the 3 spots, I'd probably put Grancia. I'd probably put hmm, I'd probably put Maribor, Gavardia Maribor, to be specific, and I actually would put Escalon. Put Escalon at one of those spots. And maybe I'm biased because I'm trying to help coach Escalon. But I think they have a very good roster.
I think that's fair. I mean, I'm also quite biased, seeing as I am a player now and the team owner. But I do think it's important to understand why we rank these three teams so highly. So, Ginger, if you want to elaborate a little bit.
Oh, of course. So for Grancia, I think mostly the biggest 2 factors would be XSPV, who's shown that he's definitely a star level player for D2 and a very solid player in D1 categories as well. Louis, who could definitely be a D1 player as well, who is a great, supporting cast for XSPV. Really, their only weakness is they don't really have as much depth, but they still have, some here and there. Pablo Al-Assad is definitely a decent depth guy. Catchox, if he's active, is also a pretty decent depth guy. And I think they just have a more well-rounded roster than most teams. Um, Escalon, I definitely think is a forefront runner. They might even win D2 in my opinion. And the reason I say that is because their roster is very underrated. Matatui, he's a very new goalie, but he's looked phenomenal for D2 level. He probably would compete in D1 very well. John Juko, who could become a pretty good striker for D2 level as well. And I think their biggest player is SCP, who not many people know about, but he is a very good defender. And I think he could really go far.
I've got a
Uh,
question. How many games did he actually play last season? Because I do remember
one
him
or
from the
two.
Valencia's game.
Yeah, SCP only played one of two, or one or two, and John Juko played four, from which he got subbed out.
I see.
But
And the last team that I mentioned was Gavardia Maribor, and that's mostly because of Andrew and Ronaldo Ranisi. Even if they lose Mr. Football, I think that they could trade him to, let's say, I've heard that Hokkaido Danketsu is their biggest trade partner idea. That's the guy that's the team that they think they're going to send him to, and they could definitely get back like Leo the leader, for example, and maybe if they want to shoot for it, they can maybe get back Zemas. But it really just depends. I mean, realistically, if you're trading Mr. Football, you're going to try and look for a replacement goalie. So maybe they look at like Escalon, for example, who has a couple of goalie options, or maybe trade for Cremata, like at Cremata, because they have pretty decent outfielders and they have a decent goalie prospect and big money man. So I think either way, their situation is winnable for them, and I think that they definitely are going to be a top contender as well.
I see. So what do you think then about the rest of the teams? I mean, we have Slavia Maribor with their prospect Verhans, or Pampinia,
I don't know.
Haikato Donetsk. I mean,
Something like that.
yeah, there's a lot of other teams other than those big three, let's say. Where will they place in this hierarchy?
Are you asking me?
Anyone is free to answer.
Well, I reckon we definitely have not really covered Hokkaido Danetsuku this session so much. So, well, I feel like Zemas and who else was it that they had, like, who's
Leo.
relatively
Leo, yeah.
Leo the leader. I mean, that team on itself, I'd even go as far to say that's probably better than what Riberosa has at the moment. I mean, Zemas depends where he goes, because I don't know what their plan is. They could play him goalkeeper, they could play him outfield, they could play him both. But I mean, that club, it's all right. It's not the best in that division, definitely not, but it's all right. It's either, I'd say, fourth to sixth. That's where I'm gonna say they go.
Yeah, I think that's acceptable. I mean, despite Haikatsu being such a new team, they have gotten the support of a lot of people and they have won their hearts. I do think that they have a really beautiful stadium. It's the only Asian-inspired stadium,
Agreed.
but I still do think that Calvarian, for example, and Slavia Maribor will place below them.
Absolutely. I mean, Slavia Maribor did kind of rely on injury to come in last season and like be their bit of a star man. Yeah, he does struggle as a manager. Hopefully that's not the case this time. Hopefully he does pick up his game and he does manage to, schedule games, but it could be a rough season for that club.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
then
sorry.
no, that's fine. I wasn't gonna say much.
Yeah, I mean, we even have seen Gyat being on the point of being banned from managing a team, where Tengo was effectively the manager de facto, because at the start of the season, he didn't take that big of an investment with Slavia. He didn't really commit to this team, and I think that reflected to their performance. Sure, they were a top club in D2, but they really only swung around after the half of the season.
Agreed. And I think that's basically all clubs covered except from Fondian. And I think Fondium last season they had who was it? They had Forstal,
Forsdal, yeah.
pretty good player. I've seen him in the friendlies for Santos, and he's a pretty decent goalkeeper. But losing him, the only players that come to mind for me in Fondium are like people like Zeki the Shroom.
Yeah,
And
but
that's just. I feel like in this league, there's just not enough. I feel like they need more sort of bigger names out there, and I could be underrating them. I could be totally underrating them. Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't
It's a,
think they've really signed that many new players either. I could be wrong about that as well, but nothing comes to mind.
no, I don't think they have, truly. I
That's
mean,
quite.
if we look in the transfer logs, there are three big D2 players that have signed people, which is Escolan, RAR, Cremata, and Riberosa. I don't think I have even seen an effort from the others. We have seen Calveria depend on loans because a lot of
Yeah,
Granica and a lot of Doom players have gone to them through loans or through
yeah, like
player sales, which
Adrian.
yeah, which I don't really think is a sustainable strategy for D2. I mean, when you have so many foreign players that don't really have a chemistry that homegrown players would have with your team, where is that team going to end up? What do you think, Ginge?
I think that the Thunder are probably the worst team in D2 right now. If you were to ask me, I would say that they only have like two guys. Really, I mean, to be honest, Danius is improving, but they're the only two people they have is Adam Sandler and Gyrum, and even then, it's not much. I know that you guys were talking about Thondium earlier. I think even Thondium's better than them. I think Dundee, I
No,
think Zeke the
no, definitely
Shroom
not.
are better than them.
I
I do.
see Calaveran. They're not the worst team at the moment. That's not fair enough to them, because I feel like they are one of the teams that, while they haven't signed that many players, they have gotten loans, and they've got this new guy called Adrian, and I've noticed he plays exactly like the rest of the Granita players, and I feel like that's due to probably training
This is
from them.
has he been signed?
He has
Yeah,
I
he
don't
has.
see
he's been
him on the
loaned.
I don't see him here.
I
Adam
I've
Sandler.
I've seen him a couple times. Even I've like trained with him before games, and like,
I mean on the roster.
oh right,
Uh, the rosters. I mean, some
wait,
are outdated. For example, the one from Escolan doesn't contain all the newest players.
okay.
Uh,
Well, thing is, I wouldn't say Calaveran. They're definitely like bottom five. That's fair enough, but they're not at the bottom 10. I reckon
oh,
Slavia, unless Gyat shows signs of actually like managing his team, then I'd say putting them at bottom would be pretty unrealistic.
That's
Uh,
really fair, in my opinion. No, that's fair.
I think
Something that, please, Ginge.
sorry. I think Slavia and Maribor are definitely better than Calvera.
Yeah, but
Hmm.
they,
Even with the Gyat's management, I think they're better. Like Verhans is a very good prospect. Stoicki is not a bad goalie. Cranberry, he's played before. He's not bad at all. Um, like compared to most of D2, they're pretty average, run of the mill team. And I think they're more consistent, and I think they're more pronounced
it's
than the
just it's
Thunder
just
are.
what they can do with that talent. And also touching on Stoetsky, he's the type of guy that leaves for a year
Yeah,
and
that's
does
fair.
yeah he doesn't show up to games that much, to be honest.
I mean, an underrated goalkeeper that we are kind of overlooking is Fornobo or Kava. I mean, this guy was in the top three goalkeepers debate last season, and he just showed up out of nowhere for AC Riberosa and made 14 saves in a friendly. I mean, my God.
They put some defense in front of them. They could be a competitive team.
Yeah, Riberosa really has signed some prospects. I didn't even expect to see Kava coming back, but Light does have that tongue on him. He managed to convince him.
All right, well, this has been a brilliant chat about Division 2, and as much as I would love to talk about this for about 4 hours straight, we do need to bring this to an end. So I reckon the way we end this is by talking about the upcoming games just really quickly. If it's all right with everyone else, do you want me just to list them out?
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
Right, so starting for Division 2, currently we've played 0 games across the Saturday. We've got Riberosa versus Cremata. Impampiña versus Guardia Maribor. Hokkaido Donetsk versus Slavia Maribor. Granica versus Escalin. And Calaveran versus Thondium. I really enjoy this first game week. I think it's quite good.
Yeah,
Brings
it's really competitive.
mm.
Do you want to go through it game by game?
Yeah, yeah.
How about we just pick like 2 or 3 of the most important ones, I reckon.
Well, I
Okay.
think we should go with the Riberosa versus Cremata game because
Agree.
obviously it's a big matchup.
Oh yeah.
What do you
Very
think about this?
I'd say they're 2 very similar clubs in scale wise.
I do think that the experience that Cremata
Mm,
brings through its
mm.
players is going to put them really, really close. Maybe Riberosa, with that small boost from Cava coming back as a goalkeeper, will win, but I still think they are neck and neck to the point where I can't really give you a certain winner.
I'd agree.
I'd say it's a very close game personally. Yarnik is definitely the star player for Riberosa besides Fornoob, who's looked very good in that. Like you guys have mentioned, I mean he's a very consistent goalie for the D2 level. He's looking like he might be a difference maker for this team. But on the other hand, Cremata has definitely a way more depth-ridden team. Arth, for example, managed Door. Bensky Foots, I know that he's not mentioned as much, but he's a newer player. He already knows how to do a lot of mechs. I've already taught him a lot of the basics of the game. He's looking like he could definitely become a D1 player in a season or two. And their goalie, Big Money, man, I think it'd be close. Um, and I think it really all depends on Fornoob and how he plays. If he plays really well, I think Riverosa wins it. If not, I think Cremata comes on top.
Okay. And I reckon we just move on to Division 1. So for Division 1, we've played Tears and Maribor. We've already, seen how that goes. Go watch
Go
that
Maribor.
game on the YouTube channel. That was recorded. Thank you, Socks. Moving on, we've got Doom versus Kobeku. I reckon Doom wins. I think we can all
Yeah,
agree on
it's
that. Yeah.
pretty easy.
I don't think it'll be as easy as you guys think.
It might
Hmm.
not be as easy as we think. That's definitely fair, but I reckon it's safe to say they Doom have a very, very high chance of winning.
Yeah,
I'm
I
actually
mean, please,
I'm
Jimmy.
actually rooting for the underdog. I'm actually rooting for the underdog there.
That's
I
that's,
I
that's fair enough.
agree. I mean, I really sympathize with all the people coming from BHL and the other leagues. Uh, I mean, we have seen a lot of them joining Kobeku and a lot of them joining Escalon. But I do not think that it translates really as well as many people think. I mean, the potential is there, but it must be exploited. And I'm not sure how, to what extent Kobeku is exploiting that potential.
I would say this. I agree with you. I think Doom is definitely going to have the edge in this game. I think they might even win it. Um, but I think one of the big players that it's going to rely on is Packers because I don't know if you guys watched that Cup game from
Oh yeah,
season. Packers was
I
phenomenal.
definitely did.
Packers was phenomenal. And if
There
and if
is a
he and
reason he
Birdie
did
work
score.
well together, they might be able to do something really good for this Quebec team.
You know what? Yeah, maybe I have underrated Quebecu, but we'll just have to wait and see. Moving on, we've got Ljaka and Belingrad. Um,
I think this is the easiest
Yeah,
matchup so far.
mm,
yeah.
I mean, I hate to spoil it. Maybe I'm giving it the commentator's curse, but Escolan coming within one goal of a tie to Balingrad is embarrassing.
sure. I mean, they were missing a couple of new players to their squad, like TNT Quill. I forgot about that signing last episode, and I think that's going to make a significant difference to that squad. But nonetheless, Lajaka are just really, really good at the moment.
Yeah, we have seen La Jaca beat Santos 2 times of the 3 matches they have played in friendlies. So I do think they have the stronger squad and do have the potential to win this match.
Absolutely. And then moving on, we've got FK Cross versus Santos. Now this is a heated match. We've got two players that are beefing a lot at the moment, Light and Nicholas. Who do we reckon is going to come out on top?
Of
I
one.
this is really hard. I mean,
FK Cross and
when
Santos.
what do you
Yeah,
think about?
yeah. I think it's gonna be a short a short victory or draw between at the advantage of FK Cross. I would say a score like 3-3 or 4-3 or a thing like that. Not much.
That's
Yeah.
really fair. I mean, yeah. Now, if you want to bet on these fixtures and try to predict the score, I must mention that you can do this on the site built by RTPRX, sflplayers.netlify.app. It will be posted in the announcement, and I do think it was posted before. You can see up there all of the league games and all of the players in the league.
All right, brilliant. And I think that has been going on for long enough. So think we can call that an end.